Hey guys, one of the things that we never have enough of is time. Plain and simple. We never have enough time to do the things we need to do. We never have enough time to do the things we want to do. We never have enough time to enjoy the things we want to enjoy. And when it comes to astro imaging, we never have enough night time. We never have enough time for clear nights to image all the things we want to image. So a question is when we are imaging a target, are we taking too much time on that target? Are we taking more time than we actually need to that target? And could we use that extra time to go after other targets we want to go after? So a couple of weeks ago in our last episode of Astro World TV, I discussed imaging time, and I discussed a piece of software that supposedly helps us determine the right amount of time that we should spend on a particular target or on a particular night to help us maximize and be able to go after other targets that we want to during that night. So I did an experiment, and the experiment is surrounding Sharpcap Pro's Smart Histogram tool. And I want to answer the question that has been bugging me for a while is, am I taking too much time on the target? So a couple days ago, I used this tool, and now we're going to check it out and see how valid this tool is. And maybe it can give me a little bit more time back on my nights so I can go after other targets. So let's check this out and see how accurate it really is. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. If you like the content and want to see more videos, don't forget, click subscribe and the bell to be alerted for new content. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Sharpcap Pro was developed by Dr. Robin Glover out of the UK, and for my opinion, it is probably one of the best pieces of software out there that is probably one of the least expensive pieces of software to use when it comes to astro imaging. It costs about £10 UK, which correlates or translates to about $13 US per year for the Pro version. You can download it for free, but getting the Pro version gives you access to the Smart Histogram tool. And what it does, it helps determine, based off of the night sky, the proper exposure as far as the number of exposures, how many you need, and it helps you even choose the right gain for your astro camera, because it supports ZWO cameras, QHY cameras, and several other different types of cameras. So the whole goal of this is to figure out how accurate it is so I can get extra time to do more things. And over the course of this past weekend, so 2 nights, I used this tool and followed the instructions as far as the number of exposures and the amount of exposures, and I was able to get quite a few targets in. But now I'm going to process them and see how accurate this really is, or if this is more just a reference or a guideline. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to show you the process that I did over the course of the nights using Sharpcap Pro Smart Histogram tool, what it gave me, and I'm going to enter in that information into my ASI Air Pro, take these images, and now we're going to go ahead and process them. Okay, so we're here in Sharpcap, and I have the software connected to my 533 MC,
and cooling is almost at -10 Celsius. But what we're going to do to satisfy my curiosity on the accuracy of the smart histogram is we're going to go to Tools and into Histogram, and we're going to click on the brain here. Now I'm pointing to a relatively dark area. There's no nebulosity in this area, maybe of course stars, but that's it. And what I want to go for is a minimum exposure of 30 seconds, and I'm going to go for a maximum exposure of 10 minutes. And my total stacking time, I'm going to say it's going to take me an hour for PixInsight or APP to stack these exposures. And right now I'm going to actually go for what's closest to unity gain, closest to that 1 electron per ADU. So we're going to go ahead and measure this area. Click measure. Now this should not take very long since I've already completed the sensor analysis. It knows about the 533. So we'll wait for this to settle. It's going to take a series of exposures at different gains. And then it should come up with my Okay, test number 2. This time I'm pointing towards my target for the night, which is actually M17 the Omega Nebula, and I'm going to run this again to see if it's going to make any difference.
Okay, we're just about done here, and let's take a look-see at the result. All right, so the histogram it is away. I'm averaging 4,500 ADU. Guiding is fine. This is actually a little bit higher than it was earlier during the actual imaging. But what we're going to do is I will go ahead and, based off of the recommendations, I will do about 8 of these. And then I'll go and stack them and see what the results look like. So, on to post. Okay, so here we are in APP, and I'm going to go ahead and do the integrations. Now, the plan for these integrations is to do just one algorithm. We're going to, since we used I used the L-enhance filter, so I'm going to, and for the most part, these are mostly narrowband images. So I'm going to do the HA03 color algorithm on each of these. So I'm going to start with the Cave Nebula, and we'll open that one up. And Smart Histogram said basically 8 images or 8 lights. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use 8 lights. Now I did already create my master calibration frames, so those were already done, but we're going to go ahead and use our 8 lights. Actually, let me cancel, uncheck the multi-session and multi-channel. So we're going to H color. Now we'll go back here. So we have our 8 lights. We add in our masters. Flat, dark, dark flat, and bad pixel map. Okay, and we're going to set everything is pretty much as default. We're going to integrate all 8, and the integration is going to be automatic. And I'm going to do these on the same way on each target that I did this past weekend. So we'll just simply, we'll call this just Cave Nebula. And let this run. And I'll pause for now, and once we get done with this integration, we will take a quick look at it. Okay, so the integration process was pretty quick, you know, just doing 8 light frames. Took less than 5 minutes actually, I believe. So here's the Cave Nebula, and of course, as I said, there's going to have to be the post-processing that has to be done. But just looking at the initial data, this looks pretty good. This looks really good. There's still, of course, the noise, but that's all you do, all that you take care of when you continue your post-processing in either APP, PixInsight, or Photoshop. But for the initial look here of doing 8 integrations, and this was at 480 seconds at a gain of 352 based off of what the Smart Histogram told me to do, this looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll start up with the next image. So I'll clear all this out. And the next one I think I'll do is M17 the Omega Nebula. Everything is still set, so we'll go ahead and do the same here. I've got 8 lights. And we'll go through the same process of adding the calibration files. Everything else will stay the same. All right, 207. Let's see how long this takes. All right. All right, we're done. And again, just for the initial integration of the Cave Nebula with 8 light frames, and this was at a gain of 101 because this was on another night. I believe this was Saturday night, whereas the Cave Nebula I did on Friday night. Running the smart histogram, it told me doing exposures of 463 seconds, do at least 8 of those, and that's what I did, and a gain of 101, which was unity gain. And this looks fairly good. So, and it only took a couple minutes to do the integration. So integration time was pretty quick as well. Probably the most time it would have ever taken would have been to process the calibration frames to make those master calibration frames. So last one I'll do is the Veil Nebula, Eastern Veil. So we'll clear this out. Same settings, so we'll go ahead and load. And I did this on the same night as I did the Omega, so a lot of the calibration frames are the same. Flat, master dark, master dark flat, and the bad pixel. All the settings are also the same. All set to automatic, and we'll integrate. And this should only take a couple minutes. So we'll pause for this and be back in just a second. All right, we're almost done, and we're done. And again, just a couple minutes. And again, the signal's there. It's really good. And again, this was 8, and I actually did this one a little longer. This was 600 seconds. I'm based off of the smart histogram that 452 or 53 seconds would have been the recommended exposure, but in all honesty, I decided just to, because of the just the way I had things set up, I just went ahead and did 600. Going over is not going to give you a big return of investment, for at least from what I can tell. But just for disclosure purposes, this is 600, but it is only 8 and at 101 gain. And this does look pretty good for the integration. Again, we still have to do our cropping and our background calibration and star colored, all that stuff that we normally do in APP, and then move probably over to PixInsight or to Photoshop. But for the most part, this is impressive. All right, so that's it for those. Okay. So, opinions. Does the smart histogram do what it says? Yes, it does, in my opinion, do what it says. It does give you pretty accurate information on your gain, optimal exposure time, and number of exposures. A couple things you'll have to take in consideration. One, you'll have to do this on, especially if you're using mono cameras or one-shot colors with narrow bands, you are going to have to do this with your different filters. So this is not a one-size-fits-all type of application. So it's really going to depend on the type of filters you have, and it may be something, because of different conditions on different nights, it may end up being something that you'll have to do every time you go out and image. It doesn't take very long to do this process, but that's entirely up to you if you want to go through the process and do this first to get started, and then if you're using an ASI or Pro, then go ahead and take that information and put it into the Pro, and then do your imaging sessions. Same thing if you're doing with SGP or anything else. So just keep that in mind. It also depends on, as far as what we've done, the end result. I'll do my post-processing the way I normally do and share my results as far as that goes, but that is also going to be up to you on how you do all of your post-processing with either APP or PixInsight or Photoshop or what have you. But for the software itself and for what it does, I think it does a good job. I think it's something that is more of maybe a good reference and a guideline. And if you want to save time and take advantage of the nights as best as you can, this is a good tool to use, and those references, so you can take advantage of the most of your night. So besides that, I think this was a fairly good test, a fairly good indicator, and I think I'll continue to use it. Will I use it religiously? Who knows? But it does what it says it does. So I am happy with that, and I am impressed by that. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight on this software and was useful to you. If you have any comments, again, please put those comments down in the comment section. I really appreciate any feedback you guys give me. It makes things, it makes what I'm doing better, and I appreciate that feedback. Also, don't forget to join me, Dan, and Jason every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Astro World TV. So again, thank you for joining me, and as always, only when it's dark enough can you see the stars. Take care, everybody, and clear skies.